I had a girl who went off to college from one of my classes. She wrote me a letter about what happened sometime later. She told me that she was a sophomore or junior at University of Cincinnati. She had gotten pregnant. And the girls in the dorm all said, you should have an abortion. She called up the local abortion center, made an appointment, went to it. She's sitting in the waiting room waiting her turn. In her letter she said, I couldn't get your class out of my mind. Every year I do Pro-Life Week, and for 5 days I give them information about pro-life activities and about what abortion actually is. And she said, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. She knew that what she was going to do was murder. And she couldn't do it. She got up and she walked out. She had that baby. Sometime later, about a year or so later, I think she married the father of that baby. And the whole experience changed her. The whole experience really made her look at her life. And she gave her life to Christ, was filled with the Holy Spirit. Her and her husband ended up starting a crisis pregnancy center a few years later. She sent me a picture of her little boy. He was about 2 years old. That's being pro-life. She's in college. She doesn't. People say, well, don't interrupt your schooling. Don't interrupt your career. Some people, they don't want any inconvenience in life. And I'm not just talking to women. I had a high school boy. He came to me, and I don't know, he's like a sophomore in high school, and he said, Mr. Cardonier, do you have that videotape you showed us about the abortion? I said, yeah. I said, I got it at home. He said, I got a buddy over at Sydney High School, and he got his girlfriend pregnant, and she's going to go have an abortion next week. He said, I want to show that to them. Try to change their mind. I said, well, good for you. I said, I'll get it at home tonight and I'll give it to you at the football game. So I go to the football game and I pass him the videotape. You know this is years ago because it's a videotape. Right, yeah. I said, how are you going to get them to watch it? He said, they'll watch it. I'll tell them to watch it. After that football game, his buddy and his girl, he said, come to my house, we're going to watch a movie. And so they came over and he puts it in and they watched it. And that's all it took. When they saw that, when they saw what an abortion actually is, it's like, oh my goodness, no way. That girl changed her mind immediately. She gave birth to that baby. That high school boy, he saved that child's life. Simply by showing them a movie of what an abortion really is. You would be amazed at how people don't really know what's going on. We had one woman came in, she had had 4 abortions. When she saw a movie about the development of the baby, she started sobbing, screaming uncontrollably. When she finally settled down, she said, they told me it was like clipping your fingernails. They told me it was like cutting your hair. They told me it was like having your appendix out. She said, I didn't know it was a baby. Now, I don't understand how a grown woman cannot know that this is a baby, but I have run into too many of them. I had a college girl from Bowling Green, sophomore in college. She came in and handed $300, said, I want to have an abortion. I said, we got to do a pregnancy test first. Oh, I'm sure I'm pregnant. I said, we got to do our test first. Took a urine sample. We're doing the test. We put her in a room. She could watch the development of the baby. 15 minutes later, when the counselor walked into the room, she's crying. She said, I can't have an abortion. I'm already a mother. There you go. I don't know what she thought was in there. You know. But she was a college girl and she didn't know it until we showed it to her. And she chose life.